Okay, it is just on 10, so I'd like to welcome everybody to the meeting today of the Finance and Property Committee on the 17th of February at 10 o'clock. Welcome to all the councillors and our new councillor, Andy Gordon. Welcome to coming to join us. And one member of the public. David, good to see you here. Thank you. Item 1 is apologies for absence.
None received.
Item 2 is the confirmation of the minutes of the meeting held on the 13th of January, which has been sent out. And we have apologies for the alterations on it, which you can see most of them are the same thing, but there have been counts on bar there. That's a true accurate record. Everyone happy with those? Proposed? Seconded? Any other comment? All in favour? Thank you. Item 3 is the declaration of members' interest. To receive any pecuniary or other registrable interest relating to items on this agenda should be declared now. I see nothing to be declared, so that will move on. Item 4 is the budget and financial report of the 31st of January 2026. A is the financial summary as of 31st of January 2026, which we rely on David to give us a lovely little phrase on this one.
Yeah, very short and sweet. First of all, the keen observers amongst you will probably see my deliberate mistake. On the top, I've put percentage of budget, December 75%, which would be percent of budget, January 83%.
Did I point that out there? I'm sorry, mate.
I know you're sitting my embarrassment, as always. Thank you. So very briefly, at this time of the year, we 2 months left to go, so there'll be no further income from that projected, that's for sure. The danger at this time of the year is what accountants call a splurge, when people seem to think that spend money quickly as possible, the budget's going to run out. In our case, that just doesn't work, it's just nonsense. So we've got to keep a look on the costs because we're trying to hit the target, pretty close to it, but we need to tighten the belts a little bit further for the in my opinion. The other thing is on the income, the board part of the say is not really very good. It is reasonably good, but our IT system doesn't seem very flexible, and we're trying to know how we'll present that. So by the next time round, we should have that right, and we're hoping it's pretty close to budget. So that's that little glitch. All the costs are sort of okay. Maintenance and transport is the ones that will overrun a little bit meaningfully. I know I say to repeat myself over and over again, but I'm just concerned that we don't get the FA grant, which is that's part of the maintenance that offsets some of the maintenance costs. So the FA grant, we have a 6-year contract with the FA to help with payments towards turfing and so on. They are, and it's getting close now, so we need to redouble our efforts because that will make a big.
Which is up there?
It should be 3,500.
All right.
Yeah, it's a sliding scale. The first 3 years, from memory, it was fixed, nearly 4,000. Then it starts to drop. But we also want to keep in with the FA because they've also got quite a big machinery budget, so we claim for new equipment for maintaining the playing surfaces, and they've also potentially offered money to help with Lord Park Field in terms of drainage. Yeah. So we want to look enthusiastic, plus the fact we obviously want this year's money. Yeah. So I think at the last meeting, somebody's been identified, but we've got to. I just really sort of falls between.
Who's chasing that?
I need to sort that out with Terry.
Okay.
And I think Graham Steady was involved initially, but it would be a pity to. Well, we can't afford it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so that said, always at the moment everything goes according to plan. It's looking reasonably cheap at the moment, but not a lot of room to manoeuvre. But okay.
I think it's a very good report, David, but just a question of interest. On 29 NNDR, I think you're saying 4,008 was the budget. Year to date it's 5,4, but we seem to, at the end of it, the year projected be less. Are we getting a refund?
No, we budgeted 4.8. You've got to remember when we do the budgets, the tendering hadn't actually declared what the increase is going to be,
Right.
and the increase was a little bit more than we thought. So that's why it's stripped. But you also remember there's no more payments going out, so we get a payment holiday in February and March.
Yes.
So it's not progressive in
Yeah.
this way. So what we pay now, well, that is it. So it's slightly over budget, but not. It was 29, wasn't it? So
It's just year to date went down again. I thought, I've never seen it go down.
yeah. So the original budget was 4.8. Then we realised that wasn't because of we didn't know in advance. We put it at 5,000, and it's now 5,400.
Yeah.
So it's 400 over what we hoped it would be at the end of the year, but we are at the end of the year, so that's so that is it. Well, 400
It's only a point of interest.
Yeah.
Thank you. Any other comments?
I assume this is an admin thing on the playgroup 60, a write-off, and then it's come back in again. Is that to do with power or the
No,
problems with the road?
that's been like that for 7 or 8 months, and we decided just to write it off. If you remember,
We did.
the orders got energy money,
Yeah.
and we came up with a formula to recover that over a period of time.
Mm.
So the energy money came in as a recharge of 2,323, which just about rather than £4 offset the write-off.
What sort of back balance then? Yeah.
So we could have just not written it off and carry on through the year, and then slowly sort itself out. But we decided it's not easier just to cut it off. So it was to do with the big energy debit that was.
Thank you.
Just a kind of question about the end of year budget. When have we paid the MMO settlement, and where is that going to sit in kind of the end of year accounts? Is that something that will be?
We now, after the settlement, after the agreement, we asked for an invoice, which we now just received. So that in terms of paying it, we've got the invoice to pay, which will be this month, probably next week or so.
Yeah.
And that will go at the moment. That will go in as a cost. Within here, the plan actually is to just check with our internal auditor the best way of presenting that, but it is at the moment it's considered just to be a further cost on our system. So if you subtract that cost from the if you add that cost in, we're hoping that we're still on track to hit the target we expected at the beginning of the year. So if you look at the operational service down towards the bottom, it says 92. That's what we're trying to achieve this year. And after we've paid the MMO, we're still hoping to get to that figure, or very close to it. And that's because there's a lot of flexibility built into the budget, which we.
The payment for the MLO is actually in this next tranche of payments, actually. It's actually for recommendation.
Dave, may I ask, does the internal auditor, is he aware that we've been paid by the MMO for that fashion? And although we're paying the MMO some money, it's paying the money back almost.
Yeah, the
Is it
internal is
comfortable?
fully up to speed with the whole story, and it has been for the last 18 months.
Right.
And it's how we present it.
Yeah,
It's whether.
because I think if we were to present it as an additional charge, it may not be so good.
It can go, we'll leave this as it is, and we'll neither, and then pay out reserves. So we either put the surplus, the considerable surplus we're going to make, we hope, can go in reserves, then cut reserves, or just be as a cost.
Yeah.
I think it should just be as a cost, I can't see. But there's no, he's well aware of the whole situation, and there's no issue.
It's just the way that we tell the residents.
Well, it's just
Well,
getting
that's-
his
Is
approval.
it approval?
I just have the numbers, so I don't.
Yeah, I got you.
Just in the story, yeah. And just a final question on that.
It's not a spin, sorry, it's not a spin, it's a
Have we got
reality.
any recovery from anywhere on that? Has anybody got any recovery from the, who's it, Courier?
EXO. We have received a response, didn't we? We done
Well,
that
the response was that they were talking to their insurance company, and I don't think we've received anything since
from
then.
that.
So we need to chase that.
I think we should just send a letter just chasing. We
And
haven't had a
the
response.
response we had was from William Cooley,
Yeah.
to the council was that he passed the documents and our letter on to his insurance company, and they would be replying, and in fact, actually, you're right, Mick, we haven't heard anything.
So thanks for bringing that up, because we will now write to just chase them, because that's been a couple of months, so, yeah, we need to find that out. Chris, I think you want to come in.
Oh, well, it's only, in a commercial environment, the fine would come out as a balance sheet transaction. As we don't have a balance sheet as such, it's, I think, the best way, and that's what the internal auditor was saying, you do it therefore on the P and L.
Yeah, that's just an accounting thing, that's
Yeah,
not
but
about,
it's got nothing to do with.
there's no other situation or just right or wrong or recovery of money, that's just the number.
But luckily, we have reasonably traded this year, and we should come back to the original projected profits, even with paying MMO out, so.
Good, I would certainly agree we should chase the recovery
Yeah.
for two reasons. One is that it's due diligence, and the other one is that we'll try and recover some money.
So
Can I just ask a completely different subject? Well done, by the way, the £700 or whatever it is we've made on this, are those transactions in here, or is that being run as a separate?
The costs are yet to come out. This year's a bit unusual because we've got two guides and two sets of income and two sets of costs.
Yeah.
Because last year was delayed.
So what we're trying to do each year is try and get our town guide out earlier and earlier.
Yeah.
And we've proved it this year. Next year, hopefully it will balance out for you, Dave. But hopefully next year we'll be a wee bit earlier again.
Yeah.
So sorry for a couple of years glitches.
So this year's a bit of an unusual year, but
So this year we've got two lots out there.
we've got two lots of income, but we've also got two lots of costs.
Yeah.
It does better than break even.
Good. No, I just wanted to see if it was in there.
Well,
Just
obviously
to
we
confirm,
will-
just confirm
Yeah.
where some of the money goes from the income excess. It goes to the tender and show, when we go to the tender and show, and it also goes to try and raise the profile of the tourism footprint of the town.
Well, I welcome it coming out earlier, because it was way too late before, so well done for doing that. Any other comments on this item A, financial summary, which Dave's presented?
No, we've done that.
I think it shows we're on
Come
a
up
keel.
to-
Item B is the financial monthly overview of January 26, which is again in front of you. As you can see, we had a reasonable month in regard that the income for January was 27,093 and the expenditure was only 29,379, so we weren't far off parity there. Any other comments you want to make, Dave?
No.
Everyone happy with that? Any comments? In that case, I'll move on. Item C is the credit control. As you can see, this used to be 2 or 3 pages long, and now we have 6 or 7 items, of which I understand Mr. Cheeseman is now paid. So the bottom one has now been paid. And the others are not overly late at the cricket club and the preschools. Any comments you want to make on that, Tracy?
No, the allotment holders have all been invoiced now. So a lot of that money's, or some of that money's come in. And everybody else has been chased.
And we continue to chase the last 2 boatyard for last year, Thorn and Penfold.
Oh yeah, Thorn pays monthly,
Yeah,
so they
So that's
do
a
a
diminishing.
standing order each month, so that's not a problem. But the other boat park one, Penfold, is the outstanding. Cheeseman has paid in February.
but it's a much better situation we were in before. Chris?
Just to remind the committee that last year, Brunksea Rugby Club, we wrote off quite considerable debt there.
Yeah.
I don't think we should let them get away with it every year.
Yeah, but yeah, perhaps we could drop them a note then, just say say that we note that your account is.
Julie chases them every month. Once we've done the credit control list and the bank rec's been reconciled, then we print off the debtors, the credit control lists for them, each individual, and they send them every time, yeah.
Okay, any other comment before I move on? Thank you. We now move on to item 5, which is the examining of the accounts, which is in front of you.
Yeah, so if I can have two councillors, after the meeting, please, to sign off 18 payments in the sum of £34,233.22.
Yeah.
As per the attached sheets.
I can do it, Tracy.
Okay, thank you.
I can do it.
Thank you.
And of course, that does include the MMO. Do you want to do it, Laurie?
No, I've got it. Oh, sorry. Should have.
Just have a give you a second, have a look quickly.
You're not got it. Oh, of course, that's all right. You're not got it either. Oh, well, I'll still copy that one this morning, so.
Right, I'll give you.
There's nothing,
No,
well,
I
you're
have
going
read
to
it online.
review it anyway.
Yeah, I have read it.
Okay, Nick?
Yeah.
Item 6, then we move on to EDF settlement offer. David, would you like to just go through this one?
Yeah, the Scouts some years ago released the hut on Low Park Fields, from the council, which had an electricity supply in it. They didn't know that, and for the last 3 years, they've been clocking up the standing that we use no electricity because they didn't know they didn't know there was a supply in there. And they clocked up, EDF charged them nearly 4 times the going standing rate every day for 3 years. And that clocked was nearly £3,500. Because we're the landlords and the Scouts didn't fill the form in because they didn't know that was a supply, we are liable for that money. So we went into bat, and eventually we agreed that some of the money in the early period was our responsibility and the rest was the Scouts' responsibility. But still a lot of money. For once I wasn't concerned at our position, but the Scouts are not very worthwhile and they don't have much of their funds. So we fought, and there's a lot of letter writing went on, but eventually, long story short, the Scouts have settled for a £600 payment. And ours, we've now gotten down to just about £300. So from £3,500 to start off with, both parties I think are quite happy. The Scouts certainly are.
Well done to them. I mean, this has been going on for some time, so everyone knows.
Well, that's what, I mean, the EDF would not get away. You know, I won't go too much with it, but if you don't sign a contract and you've got an electricity supply, they charge you a significantly more
Yeah.
standing charge.
That's an emergency.
Which has been accrued.
And so that just clocks up. In the early period, they were actually billing the army because the
I was
army,
gonna say, aren't they beginning it?
the army was the retiring
Yeah.
tenant. So and then after 2 years, the army complained and said, we've been paying this money, we're not even there anymore. So we gave them a refund immediately, a complete refund.
And they put it to us.
So that's why we were suffering.
And they haven't paid anything.
No, the EDF had been charging the army, and the army paid. That's why nobody chased
Oh,
their
okay,
bills.
yeah, with you, yeah.
But when the army protested, they immediately got a refund at the expense of the Scouts.
So after a long protracted time, this is,
Yeah.
this is a reasonable offer. Do we want to just close it at this?
Yeah, I mean, the attitude of EDF, it was appalling, absolutely appalling. That's why we were.
Really?
Again, David, well done.
So, but now, so officially, we're now saying we've recommendation that we should pay our contribution, which is, I think, is
363.44. Can I have a proposal that we accept to pay that?
I'll do it.
You think? Yeah. And, yeah, John, any other discussion?
This leaves the Boy Scouts with a bill of £600. £600. My information is the Scouts are bankrupt. They don't have any money at all. On my mayor's allowance, I have £753 £23 that I've yet to spend. And I would, I'm not sure if I need to do this or if this is the right way of doing it, but I'd like to make a suggestion that I use 300 of that to assist the Boy Scouts.
And
Sorry?
it's Boy and Girl Scouts now.
Boys and Girl Scouts. Scouts.
I think that's a good, lovely idea, and it fits in with you wanting to work with youth.
Exactly, I was trying to find that.
They'll be absolutely delighted with it. Terry Mann is the.
Well, I think 600 is a big game, but 300 they might be able to do.
I was going to say, will they be able to do the 300 or should we
Well,
really
let's
go on with that?
Well, let's just see how we go with that. Can we just take the vote on the initial one, which is the 363? I hadn't proposed the second that we pay our 363.44. All those in favour? That's carried. And I think that's a,
I don't know if this is the right,
no, I think you can do that, John. I think that you can
do that
do
myself.
that unilaterally, really. As you know, when I was the mayor, I did all the scout boats for
Yeah.
Okay,
Uh,
okay, thank you.
a
Just
very
just
worthy,
move forward.
a worthy cause.
It's a good idea, Chris.
Good. Item 7, assertion 10. Now, this is an interesting degree. The IT policy. We haven't had an IT policy. Tracy, do you want to just run through?
Well, assertion 10 relates to the annual return, and there is a tick box, tick yes or no, whether you comply. One of the items is we need an information technology policy. So I have drafted one following the drafts that have come out from the National Association of Local Councils, to which council can agree or not agree, and amend where they see fit.
Do we not want to agree the IT policy
We would like
first?
to agree the IT policy first, yes.
So,
Chair, I think I'll just point out something in item 4.
Yes.
Can I have new Macintosh computer, please?
No,
Because it says here,
where possible. First, two words, where possible.
but can I just put that down as noted?
yes.
Okay. I presume everyone's had this distributed, so everyone read it. Everyone got any questions on the IT policy, which has been put forward by Tracy?
I thought it was.
So did I, actually.
On the original 10, must admit, I haven't worked my way through everything in there, but on the original 10, it says, the right to monitor email communications to ensure compliance with this policy. I presume it means council communication.
Yes,
Right, so.
on your council email, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm slightly concerned because in other situations in public life, people have had their WhatsApp things being searched and things like that. But it doesn't actually say there, reserves the right to monitor email communications, not council email communications.
Maybe you should say council.
Okay,
Yeah,
monitor council email communications, yeah.
is everybody happy with that?
Yeah, I think that's a fair point.
Don't forget also under data protection and GDPR that if you use your personal email to discuss council business and somebody asks for a freedom of information, you do have to submit your personal emails as well. So
You do, and I think I thought of that, but they're not allowed to monitor them.
no.
No, because you should be using your council email address, not personal anyway, for council
I think,
business.
I'd really personally like that made clear that it's email communications from the council.
From council, yeah.
So with that, sorry, Nick.
Yeah, just a quick question on the number 5, data management and security. I mean, I think we have to assume we've already got data management kind of policy, haven't we, about store and transmit security and
Yeah, we are backed up, yes.
accounts and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just on the contacts, is that supposed to be contracts or contacts from 17?
Contacts.
Contact. The contract with 3C, is that how is that monitored and how are we kind of looking at the overall quality assurance of that? Because I know that particularly tender or councils in their own are regular targets for cyber attacks, and I know we're quite small fry in the scheme of things, but it could be a pathway to other things, I suppose, if they, you know. What is the update?
But they have set up all the council email addresses, so I'd like to think there is security on those email addresses. And certainly with our computers, we have the backups of FOSS security and everything. So
So do they come out and do that, or do they
No, they
do that
do.
remotely?
they do remotely, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just would-
I can ask for a review.
I think just a
Yeah.
kind of annual report from
Yeah.
3C might
Okay.
be helpful to, because we get, the monthly or quarterly reports about the number of attacks. It's quite frightening how many, you get, and how many different measures they have to take to combat them.
Okay.
It'd just be interesting to know
Yeah.
what they do.
Welcome report. Chris?
Can I just slightly enhance what Mick was saying, because here and I suspect everywhere, I mean, John is using his own personal iPad, I use my iPad. Might want to just check what's the security on that, because any one of us could be,
it's true.
yeah,
I
just,
think that, again, that's something that we are not allowed to do, and it's they're very clear that you don't use your own devices, and you can't, I think there's a wall, there's a barrier, digital barrier to stop it.
Yeah.
Getting in there, because I use my laptop to do council work. I've got the account on there, and so any access through that, and I did notice that in my junk mail, I was looking for something today. I had emails from you, I had emails from Graham, I had emails from you, saying sharing pictures and stuff. It was all corrupted, so I'm not sure whether that's mine or yours, or I don't know why I was getting them from all my colleague councillors. But
yeah,
But we had one from you, didn't we, not long ago?
yeah.
Chris, so
I thought I'd share these pictures with you. There's a link or something. It's like,
we're not sending you any
Yeah, yeah.
pictures, don't
I
worry.
didn't see that.
You haven't clicked the link.
no,
Oh, don't
click
click
the
the
link.
But we did a few years,
Interested as I am in your pictures, Chris.
Well, I'm thinking,
a few years ago, Chair, we did go through an exercise where we looked at purchasing laptops or iPads for council.
In fact, we bought
And
one.
we, in fact, we bought one, we trialled it.
So you still got
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
Where is it?
It's the backup laptop.
Yeah.
We came to the final conclusion that it really wasn't, the money spent really wasn't worth.
And also at that time, we were trying to fill our balances.
Yeah, I mean, it's very nice, I think, for the council to buy each councillor a device. How many people actually
Some
use it?
councils do, didn't
Some
do
people-
TDC?
well, technically,
TDC supplies with a phone and a laptop.
Yeah, Essex do as well.
the other one I've seen is where you can't, you access it like a Chromebook, where everything is, you're just a window
Yeah,
into it, and that, I'm surprised they haven't implemented that on us, because that would be a safer way than us all connecting our own equipment. But I mean, I think we should ask them for a review.
Well, that's what we're going to do, isn't it? Yeah. Good point there, Kenny. Other than that, can we move forward? The item on the agenda is just to agree the IT policy for Brighton County Council. There is one amendment which I think Tracy's made note of. With that in mind, can I propose it? Thank you, John. Seconded by Jane. All those in favour?
Yeah.
Any against? That's carried. Thank you. And now to discuss the council's compliance to assertion 10, which is a separate piece of paper. And I believe there is a course that somebody could go on. Tracy, you might like to.
Yeah, so under assertion 10, we need to tick yes or no. So email management, we should all have a generic email address, which once I've got Councillor Gordon's email set up and running, that will be, everyone will. We must meet legal requirements regarding the website. And our website needs to be Web Content Accessibility Guidelines 2.2 AA. And it doesn't,
It doesn't,
no.
somebody's told us that, or?
I've had a look on the other, on the back of your sheet, website accessibility, I've had a look on this checker such as Wave, and when I've looked on it, there's a lot of red. I don't understand it, I don't set up websites, I don't know how you can be WCAG 2.2 AA compliant. However, there is a course next week, under the council-wide training and support people covering, assertion 10 and compliance, and one of those items is for the website. It's a 2-hour course, 10 till midday on 24th, costing £25 plus VAT.
And Tracy did say you may,
If anybody wants to go on it, or they want me to go on it and have a listen about the website section.
Would it be beneficial for you to go on the voting council?
And I was
Because you're
going to
our-
say, and
you're our-
Julie,
You're our
Oh,
continuation,
well,
aren't you?
Can we shut the office?
I think a course that's this important, and I'm really coming in under a staff chairman now, is that
Also,
our
like
staff
councillors
need
go
to be
and come and go, don't
updated.
they,
and-
that you're our constant.
so, can I just take one at a time?
Well,
Yeah.
I've just, I mean, the problem with this is that I've had these before in other places. I mean, they change every month
Yeah.
practically. And this is for the author of the site. Now, the author of the site no longer works or is part of the council. And to be greatest respect, Tracy, you aren't going to be the next
No.
author. She hasn't got a clue
No,
how to do it.
Yeah.
And I do think there comes a point where you've got to say, should we not hand this off to a professional?
Yeah.
Rather than councillors going for a 2 hour, actually finding out what the regulations are and then not knowing how to implement them. Which it would mean rewriting part of the website.
Yeah, and then it'll change in 6 months' time. or something.
Well, and it would, but I mean, I have a slight idea how to write on websites, but I don't suppose everybody does.
But our IT provider can advise on that, so they're pretty good on that kind of advice.
I
aren't
don't
they?
know about websites.
I think they do, well, I suppose.
What, 3C?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
I
we
was a
just-
little bit shocked when I looked on the website for the accessibility statement that is on there, because it did say compliance status. This website is partially compliant with WCAG 2.1 AA standard, but we have a goal to meet all requirements in time. So I don't think even those requirements were met.
No. This is what I'm
But,
saying.
but
it's
by
a-
the end of March,
It's a moving fix.
if we haven't done this, it's a tick no on the annual return. Which isn't an issue, because we can explain what we're doing to rectify it,
Yeah.
but we need to be rectifying it.
Okay, Jane,
Do you think it would be beneficial to you, Tracy?
I don't know,
or
really.
You and Julie, and I just feel that if they feel that they would benefit, then we've always supported our staff doing training.
I'd like to suggest that perhaps not at this moment. I think the energy that needs to be expended at the moment is talking to a responsible professional that can take on the whole thing and then come back to it if needed.
And I think when you look at the document changes to audit, everything else, like, we're okay. It's just the website not being compliant.
well, where are we?
I mean, who's the original author?
Maxwell.
No. Okay, so.
We could ask him for a cost, if he could bring it up to
I guess because that's what his company does, isn't it? It's media.
I mean, depends how much it's going to cost.
They could give us a quote.
I think we'd have to put it out and get a few quotes. I don't
Yeah,
think we just
and
do it by
ask for
next
his,
council.
So why don't we talk to that court and also talk to our IT provider and see what costs come in.
We'd need to do that anyway.
We need to do 2 or 3 anyway.
Yeah. I'm contacting the internal auditor, that's all he does.
And the internal auditor.
All day he does lots of councils, he can advise on.
Yeah, as to how what his recommendation and way forward. Let's contact the auditor, get some advice on it. Everyone happy with that?
Yeah.
So
Contact the auditor.
I'm contacting Matt and 3C as well, yeah?
Well, I'll contact the auditor first, get his advice.
So they travel around first and see what we need.
Yeah, find out what the auditor says, let's go the right
It
way.
is always a danger,
Well,
isn't it, when a councillor, they probably think they're doing the right thing at the time, when they put themselves forward and say, oh, okay, I've got the expertise in that, I can sort it out. But it can come back to bite sometimes.
No, let's use the auditor and then we'll know where we are. Okay, so that's what we'll do in the first instance. Thank you very much. Which we now move on to item 9, financial. No, we're not. We're on to 8. Council internal control report, which I think you have there. David.
Yeah, every quarter we've got to do the internal audit control, and that involves looking at random section of payroll payments, pay slips, purchase invoices, and reconciling those to the bank statements. And I'm the internal controller this year, so I've just completed quarter 3, which you see, you've got a copy of the SAT all signed off and handed in the very
I did the last one, about 3 months ago. Any comments on that? And having those a look at random invoices and so on and check them through and sign them off. Everyone happy?
Yeah.
The report.
Have you not got that on?
That one.
It's just a
Yeah.
signed off.
Yeah,
Oh,
just,
sorry,
it's just a random,
Oh, yeah, okay.
looking at
Yeah, that's
different invoices and check them across, make sure that
Yeah.
the due diligence basically. And one council does it every 3 months, I did it last 3 months and then Dave's done it this one. Everyone happy with that? So now we move to the financial request. This is now a standard item on the agenda from the E&T and the FCA during their meetings. I haven't got anything on E&T as far as I'm aware, but we did have something on the facilities and community assets regarding, that they were looking for some quotations regarding having to move the piles which are left on hard, top of the hard. But as of yet, we haven't actually had a quotation, so there's nothing in front of us for us to consider. As far as I'm aware.
We've had a verbal quotation from John Collins. I'm trying desperately for him to put it into writing because you can't just do a verbal one. And it's around £500, and they would need the road outside Cavendish closed off to be able to do it. And they would like to know where they're going to put it. So we need to nominate a place. And the method of doing it would be with a forklift truck and that, is it high thing?
One on either end.
John,
Jean?
are they coming away in one piece?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're poles.
Yeah, but how will they do it? 'Cause they're in a really
Yeah.
hard cement, are they?
No,
No,
these are the
That's
poles.
the dolphin.
That's the dolphin.
Oh, I'm thinking,
Yeah.
Pilers that have been lying
oh,
there for.
yeah.
For those,
Oh, sorry.
I've asked a company that provides amphibious cranes, is that the right word?
Correct.
Amphibious cranes. Rick is aware of it, so I'm copying everything to Rick on this, whereby we hire an amphibious crane, try and put it out in one thing. Yeah. I think we're right there. Best of luck on that one.
What?
The piles.
No, we're going to try and keep them because they're really valuable actually.
Yeah.
And we will need them. And we're going to find a place in the boat park to put them.
Yeah.
And need to talk to Terry about that. But at the moment, as far as this committee is concerned, we have no firm quote in front of us. So we can't really determine anything. And the quotation regarding the dolphins, the council actually hasn't agreed to remove them yet.
Okay.
But this would only be a tentative quote for us to understand what roughly we'd be looking at if we decided to remove the dolphins.
I think what it proves, Rick, is that we're actually doing something about it. So if he turns around and says, what about? Yeah, we're actually doing the motions.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, of course.
I've seen it there, I know what you're talking about. Why were they originally ordered, for what purpose?
They were put there during the wartime
Right,
for the Navy to lay their
Oh, you're talking
no,
about
the piles. Sorry, not the dolphins.
They've been there a while.
Yeah, no, anyway, the piles.
The piles were part of the MMO heritage pier, to finish the heritage pier off.
Right,
And the sockets have already been put in. And we did have, the MMO actually paid to have them put in originally, which is why some of it we've had to give back to the MMO. It was never done because the weather wasn't right and also the people who were going to do the work wouldn't come, also put the price up over a long period of time. So the sockets they were never put into their sockets. And at the moment the pontoon is held just by chains at the end, just like the Collie Yacht Club jetty. And works quite well as long as you don't put anything really, really heavy on the end of it. Because the Heritage Pier has only gone out so far, because of other issues, there's no real necessity to do it. Plus, council is still talking about having a joint liaison with the Waterside Development Strategy Group, which you will hear more about, as on the FCA, where we will be talking to many people in that area about what would be best for the whole scheme down there.
yeah.
So at the moment, there's no point putting those piles in, but we do have to remove them because they're laying at the top of the harbour.
Yeah.
And the kids jumping on them, and James, the harbour master, has said they could be a danger. So we do need to move
Danger
forward.
to shipping.
No, danger to the children.
That's a dolphin.
Oh, it's dolphins.
The other thing-
Oh, sorry.
We're not sure it's a danger to shipping and that.
Danger to navigation is actually.
That's dolphins.
Oh,
You go back on the-
Back on dolphins.
Where the scaffold poles are, Andy, that's where the sockets are for the
Right.
piles. So if ever you see anybody trying to pull those scaffold poles out, try and stop them doing it, because we lose out where those sockets are. We've got another job to get the bloody things up again.
Does that understand? Do you understand?
Yeah, I've seen them there for years whenever we launch our boats for rowing.
Yeah.
I just wondered what had been purchased for, but that explains it all.
So,
I can tell you about the dolphins if you're interested.
Like how that dolphins.
but can we just stick to the agenda? This is a public meeting. Okay, any other finance requests? I haven't got any in front of me. Jean is here, so
I don't think we had any.
I don't think there is.
I can't remember if there is an existing one or, in fact, there may be an existing approval even, but lots of people have made a comment about that, and I know, Tracy, can we actually go and buy a camera?
Oh, oh, sorry.
We'll have to ask Dave whether we can afford it.
When we spoke about this before, when you can go and have a look and see
I mean, we need
what
a
camera we
price.
need, because I'm not clear what sort of camera we need. Somebody was,
I think it was me.
was it you, John?
Yeah.
Can we for the next finance meeting have a full quotation for a better camera?
Why don't we do it together?
Okay.
Can you do that? We'll bring up next finance meeting. It has to be done, we have to have a quotation in front of us before we can agree to it, which then goes to full council Thursday to be fully ratified.
And I know this isn't a big cost, but are we any further forward with our lanyards that we need for the next in 2 weeks' time?
Well, Tracy's got all the
I've
photographs.
got the photographs, but I haven't got Jean and we haven't got Andy, so I did wonder if you could bring your camera on Thursday,
Yeah.
cancel, and then do 2 more pictures, and then I think I've got everybody and I can send them off to you.
Okay. Is Jean happy to have your photograph done, or do you want to supply your own?
I'll supply my own.
Same as you, Andy. You want a photograph or?
I could be either. If you're going to take a photograph of me Thursday, I'll have to do my hair first. But no, I can supply you with a sort of. You want just
Just
head
head and
on?
shoulders.
Passport,
Yeah,
one, yeah.
passport on it.
Okay, they're supplying their own,
Yeah.
Tracy.
Okay, then I'll get that done.
Okay.
Not in the cab of a British Rail train.
No, no, we're not allowed phones on in there.
Are you?
Okay. Moving on with the agenda, item 10 is SO 106 money. This was just an item to remind people that with the TDC closing in a year or two, we want to get the 106 money, any applications, any money remaining, which I understand is about 80,000 or something. So any good schemes, we need to hear it in finance. So we recommend that E&T and FCA come forward with a proposal to use this money before it's lost, basically. That's all there is.
I think we decided at FCA that a group of us were going to try and work on specific things.
I did spend money on the hedgehog signs, which we didn't get credit for, I watched.
Yeah.
Do you know what section 106 is on? We're talking in a lot of acronyms
Yeah.
and bloody things here, and it doesn't make sense. But 106 money is a development contribution to the local community to, when they build something, there's a levy, as it were, which is paid to the planning authority, which is Tennant District Council. So it's usually around about £3,000–4,000 per building. So like for the 70 houses, 280,000, something like that. So that accumulates over the years and has to be spent generally on free to use facilities like playgrounds, parks, sunlight. And we have got some left in the section 106 pot. And as Rick says, the idea is to try and utilise that before the access to it becomes changed. And if we don't have elections, who knows what's happening at the moment. There will be a unitary authority which will take control of all the planning and regulation framework, and it is assumed that any levy or contribution will go to that authority to disperse the way it wants. And it's usually it's a custom and practice thing that
the money given by the local developers in Brightonsea is spent in Brightonsea. You know, it's not a given, but that's what's happened
Yeah.
historically. You know, we've had nothing spent on Paulson's playground, rec, so on. What else we spent money on down in the front?
We contributed a bit towards the town
To the
centre
town
when we
centre,
did that up, didn't
yeah.
we? So,
We had 106 money for the shelter by the Lido.
That's right, yeah. So it is the kind of enhanced community open space or public realm, as they call it. But that's the 106. As far as the other FCAs and EMCs, I think we need a little bit more time to talk about those.
So I'm meeting him.
Yeah, no, I'm just conscious that if the public listening, don't know what to
Full of
talk about.
acronyms.
Well, acronyms there. Okay, so just a reminder that,
I'm just on the 106 money, if we're really desperate to try and use it up, we've already approved the resurfacing of Oyster Tank, haven't we? That can't be done until, I wondered if we could make an application to cover that.
okay,
Don't think it would.
no, I don't think it'll cover.
is there any,
It has to be a project, a new project, rather than a repair,
I've got the impression
isn't
from
it,
our
or
last vote,
maintenance.
we're becoming more flexible.
and that, let me say, that's getting more and more desperate.
I know.
We really need to get that done. I know they can't do it at the moment because it's so wet.
Have we got an estimate for that?
Yeah, we've got this, it's gonna be done.
There is something going on down there.
It's about, it was 2,000-3,000, I mean, it wasn't a massive amount of money, I'm just thinking of using up the money.
There's workmen down there, I don't know with this.
Oh, then we've got to have a look. It'd be good if it is being done.
Yes,
because
but they were, I mean, it's raining so much, they
Yeah.
couldn't.
The problem is, Andy, just explained to you, the dips get so
Yeah.
wet, all the stones come out, and then bottom out the car, and we get claims and stuff and people's injuries. So we do need to do it, but it hasn't been done yet, literally because it's been so wet. But it sounds to me like maybe they've
I think,
started.
as an example, we were talking about the skate park,
Yeah.
you know, it needs
I was gonna say, there's other
upgrading,
things
it's a free, as Mick said, it's a free issue. And a lot of our conditions is it has to be open space. They're quite good at throwing that one at us, so, I think that was
One
the
thing
one.
I've got
that's
thoughts
the one.
on that is the pool up at Bateman's, the children's, like the seawall pool. Is there any maintenance done on that, like clearing some of the mud and sand out of it, or?
Can I deal with that after the meeting?
Yeah.
But the new liner was put in there in '85 by TDC, and that was the last time it was done.
Maybe we
Because
should make
that's
that
been done, we
meeting.
own.
Yeah, okay. Just follow the time, please. David?
I would just, that's probably not the forum, but I've still got enthusiasm for low power fields because it's a huge area. We've done all the work in terms of getting doing the test surveys and things. And the thing is that it's a facility which cannot be used. So even if we've got half of it, at least we're bringing something to service that is currently redundant.
Yeah,
It's not like mending something already working, it's a new facility.
I mean, that would be a very good use of.
Very good.
resources,
And
wouldn't it?
it's my what I want to do with it ultimately, what people will probably look at it.
I mean, that is a good suggestion, and it could well be that there is money in next year's budget from tendering to perhaps match from that.
Yeah.
Or have it match
And-
from
Well,
the
the storm
institution.
thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
could be
And
desperate.
that's a earlier bit from the FCA, from the FA, rather.
Yeah,
But it's bringing something into use that is.
yeah, that's a really good.
I think we could
suggestion.
focus on that as a number one item. Perhaps that could come
I
back.
think
to
if
us
we get the
as
low
again.
power working party going,
Yeah.
that could be a project for that.
Yeah. Good, well, I'm glad I brought that up then, so that's fine. Any other on 106? Before I move on, just to public questions or, unless you, Tracy, you want to say?
I just want to come in regarding the recent election that was uncontested, just to confirm, I have asked the elections team if there is a cost, and there will be a cost for the work that has been carried out, but they can't confirm at the moment what the fee will be, as the person that deals with that is on annual leave. will not be anything like the £18,000 that
We
we were
were,
first
we were,
quoted.
basically, if it was a contested, we would have to pay a lot of money.
Basically, Bill.
And as you can see by finance, we're quite tight on money, we're trying to keep a fiscal policy which is quite tight. So we were very delighted that it was still
It was still democratic though.
it was their respect.
High risk strategy.
So welcome. You come to bargain price. Any public questions? David, you're on it.
Don't know if anyone's been down the prom lately, but especially today, the whole area of the car park is underwater. Now, unless something's done about it pretty soon, it's just going to revert back to complete march.
Do you mean the grass
Now,
park?
if you've got 106 monies and before tendering disappears, get some grants
Do
because
you mean the
that
grass
urgently
park,
needs
Dave,
to.
or the other one?
Sorry,
Do you mean the grass park or the hard standing?
no, the grass.
Grass park.
The Millennium
I mean, the
Gardens
water is
underwater
now
as well.
opposite
Well,
opposite Millennium Garden. The water now is nearly up to the playground.
I know, David.
And it's
you
the
know,
whole
with-
area
with
is
respect,
underwater.
there was farmers on TV this morning and all their fields were under, it's just so much rain. I don't quite know the answer.
Would
to
Terry,
it.
Terry opening the sluices help a little bit? It's quite shallow, I suppose, isn't it?
That's
I
was
think they're
redundant.
open, aren't
Oh, is that sluice
Yeah, that
redundant?
That's been for 50 years. I think.
Oh, blimey.
There is one which,
That was,
Yeah, there was one
surveyed as well
repaired.
when we did the lot parking.
there's one which is repaired by GDC.
I thought, yeah.
I'll have a word with Terry about it.
No, that's, it's not a sluice, it's just a drain, actually.
Yeah.
I think it is.
There's a lot more to it than that. It's not-
I do have one written question. From
Actually,
Malcolm.
I'm sorry, just to say that actually it's flooded in our picture.
Shows how recent the picture is.
But the ducks are happy. I have a written question from Malcolm Morris. Thank you, Malcolm, for electric car charging station. Good morning, Tracy. As I am unable to make the finance meeting tomorrow as a member of the public, not sure if this is the right question for this meeting. The question is, a friend visited Brightlingsea with an electric car and was amazed there was no electric charging station in Brightlingsea for an electric mobility car. There must be grants available as there is for most mobility issues. Has VTC thought about this or planning something for the venture to encourage visitors with mobility electric cars to visit Brightlingsea? And I do remind ourselves that we had a gentleman in the to come to see us who was going to come back with a quote for the electric points. And I don't think we've never had a
Kerry
quote
was
back.
dealing with it.
Can he visited the YMCA and the community centre, I know,
I'm glad.
and the
I'm
Lido,
glad.
and the Lido, but the YMCA one couldn't take part because they couldn't connect to the building for the electricity supply. Also, that actually he hadn't got all of his own facts because he needed to feed in from the roadside. Whereas I'm not quite certain of all the facts, but he would have had to have planning permission. He would have then had to dig up a path and part of the road to connect or something to go into something else. And he come back and said the electricity supply to the YMCA wasn't high enough, strong enough. So it needed a whole new meter and everything else, and that they're not prepared to pay for that part. So for the YMCA themselves would have had to have paid for it, and that just absolutely no. And I think the community
Chair,
centre
you
was
recall
the
we
same.
did a big study on this.
Yeah.
The only place in the town that came out of an affordable option to place this was on Boat Park, where there is still three-phase electricity. Anywhere else, you've got to pay a fortune to put the facility in.
What
Okay.
happened at the
Lido, I
Lido?
was
Sorry,
gonna
I
ask the
was
same
gonna ask,
question.
yeah.
No free phase.
There's adequate, there's a huge amount of power at the lab available, all three phase, 106,000 phase for those things that, which would do it. So you could have you could come along the front there and have a couple of bays fed from the existing supply. And in fact, there's a transformer directly on the cafe, that's where it comes from.
Right.
So that is an issue.
So why didn't he come back to you?
I don't know, he came down, he had a good look around. What I would say is when we did ask a few questions of the chap, how many EV points have you actually installed? I think the answer was 0.
Oh,
If that helps.
really?
I
It
think
wasn't
it's,
zero, it was a new, he's a telecoms. Anyway, I don't have much experience there at all. So I think that might answer the question, but there's plenty of people who would do it.
I've got Jean next and then Mick.
Just to say, ENT started work on this last year, beginning of last year. The first thing we did, we went to Sainsbury's, Tracy, didn't we? I don't think we ever received an answer. You even spoke to somebody at their, thing they had down there. And they said, but we never had an answer. And I don't think we had an answer from the co-op either. At the garage, which would be the obvious place to have it really, wouldn't it? At the garage, So perhaps we should start,
Or can we leave that to ENT to look back at it?
Yeah.
Bring it back to your next agenda.
Well, it all went, we didn't follow up on it because of the thing that Gary brought in with the guy, so it all sort of stopped there, we didn't hear anymore.
Yeah.
So perhaps we ought to start to Sainsbury's but there was a reason, I think, with Sainsbury's, wasn't there? Chris, did you speak to
Yeah.
Sorry, take Chris next and then I'll take Mick.
So I spoke to Sainsbury's manager,
Yeah.
and Sainsbury's taken that over from the co-op on the lease, but the lease is quite controlled. So, for example, Sainsbury's aren't allowed an ATM. And you notice they used to have an ATM as well. And apparently the lease is quite tight.
Oh,
And when I asked him, he said, he didn't check this, but he said he thought that car charging was also excluded.
Wow, okay, well, that's an interesting point. Okay, Mick.
Well, I mean, I don't know about this chap who did the whatever cursory inspections of, the fact that there wasn't any backup to install them. But I mean, it has been looked at by Tenrin, and they are looking to put them on their car parks, as it were. But I think the LGR has again got quite in the way there. They can't commit. A lot of the installers want a 15 or 20 year lease or payback period, and will manage the upfront costs. But one of the difficulties is that the technology is changing, and it has to be a higher level now, a more rapid charging system than before, because most cars now have a range that, if you come in, I don't know where it comes from, but if you come from Colchester, you shouldn't need to charge a car. If you come from London, you should, a 300-mile range or something. But we have looked at putting one out here, but the capacity was 9 kilowatts or something, and it would take, one charger available overnight for one car. So it would be impractical and probably quite costly. I mean, the whole EV charging thing in the town is kind of a bit of a complex problem, because you can't get on-street charging in the parts of the town, and our car parks would be the ideal place. But as we've said, the supply is the three-phase supply, is the old foundry place next to the ball park, which would be an ideal place. But if we were to look at doing a live one, that would need significant kind of restructuring. We'd have to build the car park in bays with access, so it would involve highways, drop curbs, and the easiest way of doing that is to install them in currently owned TDC car parks, because they can give themselves permission to do that. They have recently just done one in a brand new car park, old place in Dovercourt, but the company who's doing that, I understand, are looking, say, to increasing term length. They used to start 10, 15, now it's 15, 20, 25 years. And the council can't commit to that. We could, in theory, commit to that here, but it's a long-term commitment. And it's a bit like all new technology and all new fashions and fads, like we're going through the same thing with paddle tennis courts. There's a million companies out there who are going to install them and pay the upfront costs, but they want 15, 20 year, and they will have, put the cost up 3 years down the line, as will the charging companies. that's the difficulty, get the balance right. When, and I think the best place is for them in supermarket car parks,
Or the garage.
highway sites,